Yeah. Do you think she's going to sit down and give an interview and be asked any questions ever?
Like a one-on-one where it's like you don't know the other person and if they're going to be tough on you kind of interview. I mean, she
Yes.
has sat down on these panels with other Democratic Party donors. She was on a panel recently, I think, even with Laurene Powell Jobs, Steve Jobs' ex-wife, where she talks about wokeism.
You know, we have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke. Yeah.
And even I think I saw Lorene's face and she was kind of like,
What do you think's wrong with her?
Kamala is a very hard sell. I was even talking to other donors before I had left the party, and they were really concerned. No one was really confident or excited about Kamala. Anyone who waves over their head and considers that the data cloud is literally over their head like a cloud is not qualified to run a country in 2024.
So you're now no longer are you necessarily keeping those private files in some file cabinet that's locked in the basement of the house. It's on your laptop, and it's then therefore up here in this cloud that exists above us, right? It's no longer in a physical place.
Well, she also sits there and talks about equity versus equality and how it's not equality that we need because not everyone starts in the same place. And it's like, you're talking about communism, baby.
Equality suggests often everybody should get the same thing. Well, that often assumes everybody started out in the same place, as opposed to equity, which is everyone should end up in the same place. And if you then understand not everybody started out in the same place, you understand some people need more. So we all end up in the same place.
I mean, that's really what you're talking about. She's talking about the government will take patents.
I will snatch their patent so that we will take over. And yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. It's the question is, do you have the will to do it? I have the will to do it.
This notion of every time their approach to fixing inflation is we're going to stop everyone from price gouging.
And I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gouging on food.
All the conditions in the country that Kamala Harris is complaining about with inflation, high rents, cost of living, that's all a direct result of the policies that she and Joe Biden implemented. So that's number one. You have to lay the blame where the blame goes, and it's right at her feet. You cannot allow her to pretend as though she is disconnected. Number two, her plan. I mean, this is if you want product shortages, if you want black markets, if you love bread lines, if you love hoarding, and if you like, I don't know, communist style anarchy on the streets of America, this is the plan for you. This is not a serious plan. This is a set of pandering from someone who has no idea what they're doing and doesn't want to take responsibility of the problems they've caused. She wasn't merely a bystander. She cast votes that caused the inflation. You can't trust her to fix the inflation.
Catherine, I read your piece and I heard you just mention it. The federal ban on price gouging for groceries. You are skeptical of this. Why?
Well, first of all, nobody can explain what price gouging means. It's like that old line. I know it when I see it, in the sense that what does it mean to have an excessive price or an excessive profit margin? That seems to be shorthand for a price or a profit margin that bugs me. That seems too high. So, it's very hard to pin down what this would actually mean. The particular way that this is written, which is likely to be the template for any proposal that Harris would eventually embrace, is especially bad in that it just bans excessive prices, grossly excessive prices, grossly excessive profit margins, and says that the Federal Trade Commission can use any metric it deems appropriate to decide what that would mean. which basically says, like, it's not going to be markets, it's not going to be supply and demand that's determining how much your grocery store charges you for milk or for eggs. It's going to be some bureaucrat in DC, which seems like totally unworkable, first of all, for the FTC to be deciding like how much Kroger charges for eggs in Michigan. But it also would be very bad for markets. We've seen this kind of thing tried in lots of other countries before: Venezuela, Argentina, the Soviet Union, et cetera. It leads to shortages. It leads to black markets, plenty of uncertainty. And beyond that, the specific way this bill is written might actually increase prices because of some of the other language in it. Things like requiring public companies to disclose in their quarterly reports, their quarterly earnings reports, how they're setting prices, which is a great way to help them collude, which normally we don't want them to do. So anyway, the devil's in the details, I guess, for that bill, but it's really hard for me to imagine any form of legislation that preserves the spirit of what she's proposing that would not be, at best do nothing, at worst cause a lot.
All that, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, that is called Bidenomics. That is called Bidenomics, and we are very proud of Bidenomics.